Imagine you lift a caramel latte to your lips, believing it is harmless comfort. Yet, deep inside your body, two fist-sized kidneys exhale like exhausted factory workers. According to the National Institutes of Health, these organs process nearly 50 gallons of plasma daily. Picture a bathtub refilling again and again, while its drain never receives a moment's rest. In this relentless rhythm, every molecule of sugar becomes a courier, increasing the workload silently. Researchers at Harvard Medical School describe this state as glomerular hyperfiltration, an overclocked filtration response. Your kidneys do not slow when glucose rises. They accelerate like engines pinned to redline. The membranes within each glomerulus behave like woven sieves strained by syrupy crystals clinging stubbornly. Mayo Clinic nephrologists liken excess sugar to adhesive resin coating those microscopic filtration windows. Paradoxically, laboratory numbers may appear impressive, showing high filtration rates that seem deceptively strong. But here is the real twist. That speed signals strain rather than resilience or health. Inside the renal microcosm, capillary walls stretch like tired ropes across an overloaded suspension bridge. Proteins begin nudging against the barrier, questioning whether the gate can hold much longer. World Health Organization reports warn that many patients notice no pain while damage quietly advances. You continue through daily routines, unaware that every sweetened drink is tightening invisible screws. Symptoms like edema or fatigue often emerge late, sometimes when significant functional capacity has declined. By then, the screen door of filtration has torn, allowing precious proteins to escape downstream. Clinicians at Stanford emphasize that early stages rarely announce themselves with alarms or dramatic symptoms. Your kidneys are stoic guardians, built by evolution to suffer quietly rather than cry aloud. Their silence feels reassuring, yet it conceals a slow erosion of microscopic architecture and strength. This is the frightening truth. Resilience on the surface can mask collapse beneath the surface. You might wonder whether such damage can reverse, or whether momentum already carries everything downward. Hold that question for a moment, because the story is peeling open another hidden layer. In the coming chapter, the first 72 hours without sugar will challenge your expectations. Your brain may protest loudly, yet deep within, the kidneys prepare a quiet celebration. Before stepping forward, pause and notice how this paradox reshapes your understanding of metabolic effort. Because every insight you uncover here becomes a compass, guiding the next 30 transformative days. The first 72 hours without sugar arrive like weather, shifting across your nervous system. Your brain, long accustomed to constant glucose deliveries, begins protesting with headaches and irritability silently. Researchers from the National Institutes of Health describe this response as withdrawal, signaling metabolic recalibration underway. It feels uncomfortable on the surface, yet something quieter unfolds deeper within your renal landscape. In individuals with elevated insulin levels, Mayo Clinic studies show kidneys may release retained sodium. That early fatigue you notice is not collapse. It is accumulated fluid leaving crowded corridors. Here's the paradox. While your mind complains, your filtration networks begin breathing with relief. This effect is most pronounced in individuals with metabolic dysfunction or elevated baseline insulin levels. Harvard nephrology researchers explain that reduced insulin signaling lowers intraglomerular pressure within delicate capillary loops. Each nephron behaves like a worker, finally stepping back from emergency overtime after prolonged strain. You may wonder whether dehydration is looming, but Stanford clinicians clarify this process restores equilibrium. During this transition, adequate hydration becomes essential as your body adjusts fluid balance naturally. Aim for 8 glasses of water daily, allowing kidneys to flush metabolic byproducts efficiently. Still, the transition challenges habits, and your thoughts search for sweetness like nostalgic travelers. This is where the story tightens, Because your kidneys quietly celebrate a lighter metabolic horizon. World Health Organization reports note reduced extracellular volume, can relieve ankle swelling and morning puffiness. You begin sensing clarity, yet another question emerges. What unseen repairs are starting now? Hold that curiosity, because the next layer reveals how sodium balance reshapes vascular tension. According to the American Heart Association, declining insulin reduces sympathetic drive and moderates blood pressure. This moment becomes an aha realization. Discomfort can coexist with progress across your cellular neighborhoods. Yet the narrative keeps unfolding, because sugar once acted like glue across microscopic passageways. You might ask, is the celebration premature? Or are deeper transformations preparing to emerge soon? The answer arrives slowly, and it challenges assumptions you have carried for many years, because within 72 hours, filtration strain decreases, and metabolic priorities begin rewiring themselves with intention. Week 1 brings withdrawal and water release, while weeks 2 through 4 show stabilizing inflammation. Your role here is observation, noticing that healing sometimes speaks through fatigue rather than comfort. This realization becomes a spark moment, turning uncertainty into curiosity about the body's ancient intelligence. Stay with that question, because the next chapter descends into the sticky chemistry of damage. There you will see how sugar molecules carve scars across tissues and how prevention begins. Inside the quiet corridors of your kidneys, another story begins forming from chemistry and time. Scientists at the Joslin Diabetes Center describe sugar molecules as inherently sticky travelers within bloodstream. When they linger in excess, they latch onto nearby proteins and reshape their structure permanently. These altered compounds are called advanced glycation end products, or AGEs, documented widely by researchers. You can imagine them like caramel threads hardening across soft fabric, turning flexibility into rigidity. Within the kidney's filtration membranes, those threads weave themselves into collagen fibers that once moved. Mayo Clinic researchers explain that this process stiffens the glomerular matrix and invites chronic inflammation. The immune system arrives like firefighters too late, leaving microscopic scars across passageways meant for flow. Here is the unsettling paradox. The body creates these scars while trying to defend fragile tissue. Soon, the filtering surface resembles a screen door whose holes have stretched wider than intended. Albumin, a precious protein, begins slipping through those openings and drifting into urine without resistance. Clinicians at Stanford identify this as microalbuminuria, one of the earliest measurable whispers of stress. You may not feel pain, yet the laboratory strip carries a silent testimony of strain. At this moment, a question rises. Is the damage inevitable, or can momentum shift? Harvard Medical School reviews reveal that lowering dietary sugar reduces new age formation and slows stiffening. Remember that existing age damage reverses slowly over many months, not through overnight miracles. The goal is preventing new damage while supporting gradual repair where possible with patient consistency. This becomes an aha moment, because change does not rewrite the past, but halts acceleration. Over weeks to months, inflammatory signals may begin declining, and the filtration barrier shows stabilization. World Health Organization guidance highlights how early intervention protects long-term kidney resilience more effectively. Yet, the twist remains deeper. AGEs do not only harden filters, they influence surrounding vessels. Those vessels begin losing elasticity, shaping pressure patterns that echo throughout the renal microenvironment continuously. You start to see the larger pattern. Sugar is not merely sweetness, it is architecture. And when you remove it, you are not depriving pleasure, you are liberating structure from glue. This realization softens fear and replaces it with respect for the engineering inside you. Still, another question surfaces, one that connects filtration damage to broader cardiovascular consequences ahead. Stay with that curiosity, because the next chapter reveals unexpected bridges between sugar, pressure, and stones. After 30 days, the journey continues by maintaining awareness of hidden sugars in everyday foods. Read labels carefully, cook more meals at home, and let mindful choices become second nature. You have followed the trail of sticky chemistry, and now the landscape widens towards circulation. For many years, you may have heard that salt is the main villain behind rising pressure. Yet researchers at the University of California, San Francisco describe a quieter puppeteer working behind curtains. Sugar stimulates repeated insulin surges, and Harvard cardiometabolic studies show insulin signals sodium retention. Retained sodium attracts water, and blood volume expands like a river swelling beyond its banks. Inside your renal vessels, that added volume increases tension across delicate walls, preferring gentler currents. The American Heart Association explains that this pattern elevates intravascular pressure even when salt appears modest. Here comes the twist. When you remove sugar for weeks, insulin signaling calms and sodium releases. Mayo Clinic clinicians report that extracellular fluid decreases, and ankle puffiness fades like mist after sunrise. You notice lighter mornings, yet a question appears. Is this relief only temporary or structural? Stanford nephrology reviews reveal that reduced insulin tone lowers sympathetic drive and stabilizes microvascular stress. This realization becomes another spark moment because the change feels subtle while the mechanism is profound. Still, the story curves in an unexpected direction, toward crystals forming from quiet chemistry. Research in the Journal of Urology links high sugar intake with increased urinary calcium in individuals. You can imagine calcium particles drifting more densely, like sand gathering in a narrowing streambed. As concentration rises, crystals begin meeting each other, and small stones emerge without early warning. Here lies the paradox. Many people blame minerals alone, while sugar silently shapes the environment. In some studies, when dietary sugar falls for several weeks, researchers observe calcium output declining. Urine composition shifts, with fewer crystals suspended in those microscopic channels of movement and filtration. You may wonder whether this change is measurable, and clinical trials confirm reduced stone-forming markers. Yet the deeper insight is philosophical. Your kidneys were never enemies, they were negotiators overwhelmed. Removing sugar gives them space to renegotiate pressure, minerals, and volume with steady patience. If you have existing kidney disease or take medications affecting mineral balance, professional guidance is essential. Your medical team can monitor kidney function markers and adjust medications safely during this transition. This chapter carries a gentle invitation. Have you or someone you love ever faced kidney stones? Share your story if you wish, because lived experience turns science into community learning together. Hold that thought, because the next section zooms out toward the larger arc from diabetes. There the stakes rise, and the timeline of kidney decline becomes a stark yet empowering perspective. You have traced pressure, crystals, and microscopic scars, and now the horizon stretches toward time. Across decades, researchers at the National Kidney Foundation describe diabetes as the leading driver of failure. Chronically elevated glucose forces the filters to overwork, like engines revving high for years without rest. At first, numbers may look normal, and laboratory charts appear calm like water before storms. But the World Health Organization reports that damage accumulates quietly, layer by layer, inside tissues. You rarely feel warning signals because the kidneys do not shout, they simply endure in silence. Here arrives the unsettling twist. Many people only discover decline when fatigue and swelling surface. By that moment, clinical reviews from the National Institute of Diabetes show significant functional loss. Function may have slipped far below capacity, and the body begins compensating with every remaining unit. You might ask a difficult question. Could 30 days without sugar truly matter against such timeline? Harvard epidemiology analyses reveal that metabolic risk is not a single cliff, but a slope. Reducing dietary sugar lowers insulin fluctuations, inflammation markers, and albumin leakage that signal accelerating stress. 30 days begins the process, but sustained change over months and years shapes true protection. This realization becomes a quiet spark, because prevention is not dramatic, yet it reshapes trajectory. Mayo Clinic. Longitudinal observations show that earlier lifestyle changes delay progression and reduce dialysis likelihood. Think of it as turning a steering wheel gently, shifting the road long before the bend. You are not fighting your kidneys, you are partnering with them, honoring machinery crafted through evolution. Still, caution belongs in this chapter because science also reminds you that every body carries vulnerabilities. Stanford nephrologists emphasize that medical conditions, medications, and genetics require professional guidance beyond general education. That guidance becomes a compass, ensuring curiosity turns into informed and responsible decisions for health. Here is the paradox. Fear may motivate briefly, but understanding sustains change with steadier determination. By stepping away from sugar, you are not chasing perfection. You are reducing unnecessary biological noise. Pressure softens, filtration steadies, and microscopic tissues reclaim moments of recovery that once felt impossible. Months 2 through 6 may reveal improved filtration efficiency on laboratory tests with patient consistency. This wider perspective invites reflection. What does longevity mean when you view organs as patient companions? Share your thoughts if you wish. Because collective reflection transforms information into wisdom and community resilience. Hold that feeling, because the final chapter returns to empowerment, evolution, and the philosophy of care. You arrive at the final arc, where biology meets philosophy and numbers turn into meaning. In this quiet place, your kidneys feel less like machines and more like faithful historians. They have carried every habit, every season of stress, every forgotten glass of water gently. Harvard evolutionary medicine scholars describe them as time capsules, preserving strategies your ancestors forged. When you step away from sugar, you are not punishing yourself. You are listening carefully. You begin to sense how filtration slows, how pressure softens, how tiny vessels breathe again. This awareness does not roar like drama. It hums like a low symphony of renewal. The National Institutes of Health describe prevention as invisible progress, shaping outcomes long before crises. You may notice steadier mornings, clearer ankles, gentler rhythms in the quiet laboratory of body. Yet the real transformation happens inside your perspective, where fear slowly transforms into stewardship and gratitude. You start viewing health not as control, but as conversation with your living architecture within. That realization becomes an aha moment, a spark that feels both scientific and deeply human. Mayo Clinic clinicians remind you that sustainable change grows from respect, not urgency, not perfection. You give your kidneys space, and in return, they give you time, patience, and resilience. After 30 days, the journey continues by maintaining awareness of hidden sugars in processed foods. Sauces, breads, drinks, and packaged meals often contain sugars disguised under different names cleverly. Read ingredient labels carefully, cook more meals at home, and let mindful choices become second nature. This is where the story widens into community, because you are not walking alone here. Your reflections, your struggles, your victories become bridges for others still standing at the threshold. If this journey brought you clarity, your voice can help the next curious traveler feel braver. You may choose to leave a thought below, a question, or a lived experience you carry. Those conversations nourish the channel the same way oxygen nourishes every microscopic nephron inside you. And if you found this exploration meaningful, a gentle gesture of support goes a long way. A like tells the algorithmic currents that education matters, and more people may discover it. A subscription becomes a quiet promise that you and I will keep learning together, thoughtfully, forever. You are not just consuming content. You are shaping a small community of science and compassion. Let this final note linger. Your kidneys are not fragile victims. They are dignified partners. 30 days without sugar is not a finish line. It is the opening of a wiser path. Carry that awareness forward with humility, curiosity, and the courage to care for your ancient design. Because every mindful choice you make today becomes tomorrow's quiet celebration inside two silent guardians. Before we continue, if you've been enjoying this video so far, leave a comment with one so I know this content is valuable to you, and so we can keep creating meaningful videos that you won't want to miss.